A question that has quite frequently come up, especially on my Twitch channel, but also on my YouTube channel, is what the hell is going on with Smite and Twitch? Is Smite on Twitch dying? Is it in a bad place? Do they have problems? And why is it in the place it's in? So today we're going to look at the numbers behind that and what Smite's problems on Twitch may be. First of all, the average number of Twitch viewers is 3.7 thousand. So that's not necessarily terrible. Smite is in place 33 in terms of most viewed games. The statistics may be a little outdated. I wasn't able to get any more updated ones than these, but I'm pretty sure they're not too far off. To put that in perspective, League of Legends has 118,000 viewers, whereas Ark has roughly 2,000 viewers at this point. What does that mean? Well, League of Legends is vastly superior to Smite in terms of viewership, but that shouldn't be coming as a surprise to many of you. And Ark is actually in a worse place. And it's important that I'm pointing out Ark here, because Ark was for a while quite high in the Twitch viewer rankings. It was usually in the top row of games viewed. And Ark came out earlier this year, or was like released to public in a way that people would watch it a lot. And people were wondering how a new game like Ark could surpass Smite that quickly, and if that was a bad sign for Smite. The fact that Ark already dropped down in terms of viewership and is almost at half of what Smite is, kind of shows that this is not the case. Smite seems to be a game that is kind of holding a steady place. It used to be in better places for sure, but it also used to be in worse places. And it is something that will not completely disappear from Twitch all that quickly, because there is a viewership for the game. It will rise obviously after the Smite World Championship every single time, and then drop a bit lower over the year unless something else changes, until the game doesn't really exist anymore, but it's not completely dying out. There are certain factors leading to Smite not being that popular on Twitch though, or not as popular as you would expect it to be. Number one, money behind the game. This is a very obvious one. Other games like Heroes of the Storm, like League of Legends, have a lot more money behind them from the companies that made them, or from the initial success of the game itself. And as such, they have more tools to boost viewership as well. They get more collaborations with Twitch where they can promote their game. They can give out more to content creators if they like to push them more. They can really spend a lot on promotion, and that pushes the viewer numbers every single time. Smite also doesn't have the same history as many of these games. For example, World of Warcraft, which started with the Warcraft series, Heroes of the Storm, which is based on all Blizzard games, Dota 2, based on Dota, same with League of Legends, CSGO, based on the Counter-Strike series, sports games that have a new title every year, like FIFA, or something like, for example, Battlefield 1 that just came out and is already surpassing Smite in viewership simply because of the Battlefield franchise as a whole. This background history obviously helps keeping viewers, moving them from one game to the other with the same Twitch streamers playing the new game, and Smite didn't have anything like that before because tribes and stuff like that wasn't really successful. Now, many streaming communities take some hits from time to time with big streamers leaving, but with Smite this is especially notable because two big streamers for the game with high viewership numbers left in the last year, namely being Lassis and Wolfie, quite a few others as well. But these two really stand out because they had the highest numbers in that regard beforehand. And that obviously has an impact. When such a high-profile streamer suddenly completely switches games and doesn't even look back anymore, then the numbers will drop a little bit. In Smite itself, you also have very long queue times if you're playing on a higher level especially. And these queue times are not exactly very interesting to watch in a game like Smite. Other games have better solutions for that, where you can do something in the queue. Whereas with Smite, many streamers just resort to playing other games while in the queue. Not necessarily the best promotion for your own game or for the streams for the game, if you see other games on stream that you may not be interested in. Another factor is the split interest in between the player base, between game modes. Some only come for Conquest, some only come for Duel, some come for Arena, and because of that, you have a much harder time finding a stream that is exactly what you want to see. In other games, you don't have that problem that often, because often there is just one game mode, so you know exactly what you're getting when you're clicking on a stream, whereas in Smite, you may not get exactly that. This can be seen, for example, when some of the pros play face it arena matches and suddenly drop very hard in viewers despite of being the same streamer and playing the same game. The people that watch them are just interested in their conquest games and not them playing arena, so they won't reach the same numbers. Not only do we have the split interest between game modes, but also between platforms. We have 3 different platforms for the game, and while most Xbox and PS4 player probably don't have a problem with watching the other console plays simply because they are a lot more similar than the PC version, the PC version itself has some different features, and while it's not necessarily major, it still makes a difference in terms of which stage the game is in, for example, which patch is played on, and this may be relevant for some viewers. So there are a lot of reasons not to watch a stream that you would want to watch just because it doesn't match your expected content in one way or another. Then there is Hi-Res TV, the main channel for Smite, which obviously brings in a lot of viewers when something is streamed there. The problem here is that Hi-Res TV is now not only Smite game anymore. When it was just Smite game, it would obviously show Smite content all the time, but as it is rebranded to Hi-Res TV, it will often host Paladins game. So the channel you would go to see Smite or expect Smite to be on when it's online is often offline, and you will see Paladins instead, which is a marketing move by Hi-Res obviously to push Paladins, but at the same time it may be harming Smite a little bit in terms of just what people would like to see when they come to that one channel for Smite. In the same sense, on the same channel, we have the events for Smite, and when there's such an event, things are not necessarily on the same level as other big games that have some competitive streams and stuff like that. For example, you will often see an empty screen or just basically a loading screen more or less in between games when there's nothing to talk about with the session continuing soon. There is no transition, no entertainment that's provided in between, which many other games do, and this kind of stuff really keeps the viewers in the channel for these pauses, and Smite doesn't really provide that, and people may just jump off and watch something else and then forget to come back. So in terms of production, there are some flaws. I wouldn't necessarily blame production itself on that, but rather the way it's currently set up, the way things are planned, the budget that is there. Obviously, bigger games with better production have better budget as well. But just, for example, take a look at Dota's International. In the International, everything was set up so perfectly. It's ridiculous. For example, you were able to watch the games in virtual reality with like additional cards and characters and stuff below where the screen would usually be. Something that Hi-Res simply can't reach at the moment, but obviously something that draws in a large number of viewers. Also, there is not too much pushing of the developers, of content creators within the streaming community. This has changed recently a little bit, but if you look to other games, you will see that some developers just actively interact with higher number streamers and do things with them. For example, the truck game that came out recently, where the programmers would actually do certain events with, they would change something about the streamer's game and stuff like that. We have something like that to a lesser extent, being that at the moment you get chests for watching certain streamers, but that, while bringing in some benefits, also brings in some problems, because this pushes one channel while leaving the other ones in the dirt, and I've seen this actually just today. I won't put any names here, but one stream that was being promoted was pushed highly and had a lot more viewers than it usually would have. Another pro stream that usually has a similar number of viewers had significantly less viewers because they were all watching the other streamer to get the chest. So while it helped one, it kind of harmed the other, and that obviously doesn't really help with viewer numbers overall as well. Then there is Smite itself as a streaming game. Smite requires extremely high attention compared to many other games, like for example H1Z1, where you have these more or less breaks in between, and that lowers streamer interaction. Many people often watch for high-level gameplay because of that, and that is kind of less encouraging for entertainment streamers. It is harder for an entertainment streamer, purely entertainment streamer, to even do such a kind of stream, and also many people don't expect it in that game just simply due to how it works, so they won't be as interested in watching it. And all of that kind of leads to a certain lack of personalities within the streaming scene. Now, I'm not saying there are no personalities in the streaming scene. There certainly are, but not necessarily as many as in others, simply because many of the pro players will often just stream the game itself, often even without a face cam, just hardly commenting over it, because that is how it is expected from many as well. It is how this game functions best if you want to play it most efficiently, and as such, that kind of goes hand in hand. The game makes it more complicated to interact, or not even complicated, but harder. And because of that, no one expects as much interaction. And because of that, no one gives as much interaction, or no streamer gives as much interaction. And that all falls together and leads to this, well, very niche room for purely entertainment-focused streamers. Or if they are, they will just occasionally play Smite and then play other games to have more time to interact with their chat. Last but not least, Hi-Rez with Hi-Rez TV no longer really has a dedicated channel to push their game themselves. There used to be Smite game, and it used to, way back in the day, have streamers that would be on there on a schedule. Obviously, this would push other streamers out as well that were not on the schedule, but for those who were, it was really beneficial. And as such, there was always this one place where you could go to watch Smite whenever you were online, basically, and that no longer exists. So, combining all these factors, we can come to a conclusion here. Smite's stream viewership, Twitch viewership, is not dying out. The number has not gone down drastically in a way that would mean that the game is no longer watched at all. It has always kind of not been in the highest places, and it's also not dropping down all too hard. It will probably stay for quite a while longer. There are quite a few flaws with the viewing experience overall, which I have pointed out in this video. Many of those can be addressed to a certain extent, some not so much. Some are just given with how the game is and everything around it, or the financial background of the company, and that's kind of fine with me. With that, thank you guys for watching. Also, I do stream on Twitch myself, twitch.tv/DukeSloth, if you're interested in that. And then there's also Christmas today. So, for those of you who celebrate it, Merry Christmas. For those of you who don't celebrate it, Happy Holidays. I was planning to make a Christmas special. I was not able to do it in the end because certain things didn't work out. Shouldn't be too bad. I hope this is still enjoyable content even on Christmas, and I will hopefully be able to do something next year. Either way, I hope you have some enjoyable time in the next days, maybe with your family, your friends, whatever. Something that allows you to relax a little bit. And I will be back myself on the 27th, so there won't be another video for 2 days. Hope you'll be able to survive that time. I just wasn't able to finish yet another video. DukeSloth, out.